I don't feel drunk. Who's Dodd? Who the fuck is Dodd? Yes, you're listening to the Memento podcast edition of Cinema 9. Welcome in. Thank you for tuning in. It's another lovely evening. It's always great to have you aboard. It is episode 36.
36?
Yeah, sexy hexy. All right, cool. I'm Michael Govier, the Cinema 9 podcast, along with my dear co-hosts, the guys who make the engine. Yeah, and Derek is happy now. Look at that. Yay. Congratulations, Derek. The show is live. Eric Brancham and Travis Roy. Travis, you're in Brighton, Michigan, and life can be cruel sometimes, but how are you holding up?
It's a busy time of the year. You know, it's a busy time. Like this is the second day of the week that I didn't turn on my television at all. It's tragic. It's a goddamn tragedy. But it's busy times, man. Busy times. What are you going to do?
I can't believe that. I'm trying to soak that in. All right. Give me some time.
Don't worry. I made some time for movies and television. I got my screen time in. Don't worry.
All right. You're still an American. Eric Brancham, I know that you would never, ever turn off your television if you didn't have to.
No, in fact, yesterday night I watched 3 documentaries on the hunt for John Wilkes Booth. What a fucking story.
Ooh. Man, you really into
3 separate documentaries?
3 separate documentaries. One that purported that he survived a shootout at the barn by Boston, what's his name? Fascinating stuff. I was up till 2 a.m. Really should have gotten my work done, but I didn't.
Holy Testicle Tuesday. Wow, I got to tell you, you're really on a John Wilkes Booth kick. You watched The Conspirator recently, and you're watching these docs. Are you obsessed right now, or what?
It's a deep dive. Give me everything you got. Pat Garrett versus Billy the Kid is next. I'm taking on Billy the Kid. Did Bushy Bill? Was he really Billy the Kid? That's next. Yeah. I'm gonna watch like 20 documentaries. I can't wait.
I have that, and I never watched. I gotta watch that. Oh, maybe I'll join you on that.
So good.
Okay, well, this is Cinema 9 podcast. We're doing Memento. It's a listener's choice edition. You guys chose this, not I. Not Travis, not Eric.
Free Cushions fan, no lace, I talked 10:30.
Technically, yes, Derek Byrne chose this, although the random number generator did a lot of the work, but it would not have happened if Derek had not chosen Memento, a 2000 film that we will dive into. This used to be a huge hit when people came of age like we did at that time, so we'll find out. Does it hold up? But first, of course, we got to get loose here, talk about our feelings, and talk about how we feel about movies. It's time for Quarantine Viewing Picks. That's right. As always, don't forget to please rate the show on Apple Podcasts 5 golden stars. It makes a difference. It makes
5 golden stars.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It makes people think that the show's legit. So if we can convince other people that it's a legit show, that would be decent. And that's really all it's about. Otherwise, follow us on your Spotify.
Perhaps we can convince ourselves one day.
Yeah, if only.
Help us fool them. Help us. And also, if you're a regular listener, we really appreciate that. Everybody, checking in for the first time, we always appreciate you. But those regular diehard listeners, we truly do appreciate you.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah, we like you people extra. All right, so I watched some movies. I watched a couple Christmas movies. I watched Nightmare Before Christmas, which I've seen before. Which how do you not? I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it. It's been a good 5-6 years. So I checked it off while I did some chores. It's good. I also checked out White Christmas from 1954 because I really liked the Bing Crosby version of White Christmas.
Oh,
yeah.
How white was it?
It was the whitest of Christmases, that's for sure.
I bet it was.
Yeah, 2 hours. I'm like, oh, wolf! Like, what did I sign up for here? Like, it started to get a little lengthy, and there's commentary about like the state of choreography at the time. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for.
Danny Kaye is a fucking chore in that movie, man. He is out of control.
That's the word. It started to feel like a chore. Like, I'm like, okay, this is
not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. I could have watched Scrooged again, like for the millionth time, and I will. Don't worry, I will.
Oh, you will.
I watched House from 1985 at our friend Mike Govier's suggestion because Mike doesn't like horror movies, but he loves House. So I watched House, and it was indeed a lot of rubbery fun and wackadoo, just totally weird, wild, goofy stuff. I look forward
Greatest American Heroes, William Catt.
That's the guy, right? That's who started. That's so funny.
He does this TV show. It's kind of a hit, and then he does this, and it's.
Yeah. Remember that show? Like he couldn't land. What was that? What was even the plot? Like I knew he could fly, but he couldn't land.
Yeah, that was it. He could fly, but he couldn't land. He wasn't a very good superhero. And if I'd known that he was in this, I may have watched it as a kid. But like as a kid, all I remember is like the cover box was like this disembodied hand at like eye level for a 5-year-old. This disembodied hand like rotting and ringing the doorbell, and it just scared the Jesus out of me. And I didn't see it until this week.
Wow. Not to be confused with the modern television show House.
Yeah, I've never seen that either. But
I
watched the New Mutants. It was a long and tortuous road for it to get to where it is. It's streaming now for a reasonable renting price, and I recommend it, man. It was a good movie. Like it did some weird things. It felt like a comic come to life in a lot of ways. Like it made me sad as I watched it that we're probably only getting this one movie with this group of people, because it felt like an introduction, and there's some pretty well developed characters here, characters that like never in a million years would I ever imagine, even as a 13-year-old daydreaming, that I would see them come to life on the big screen. So that was, or like the screen in my living room anyway, but that was really, really cool. Last but not least, which I guess I would say that New Mutants would be my main recommendation for the week, but I also watched a movie I'd like to discuss with Eric called Mank from 2020, because I understand that you liked it very, very much. And everyone
fucking loved it. I thought it was a masterpiece.
Everyone seems to like it very, very much and think that it's a masterpiece. And I'm like, there was a 1-word review from a reviewer on Eric's Instagram post, and the name of the Instagram account is, I believe it's called Cinema Review, and his review was wank, which
then he gave it 7 out of 10, and I'm like,
wank. That was it. 1-word review, and so it is beautifully shot. It is just beautifully shot. It's gorgeous. The score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross better get nominated for best score. I mean, it is outstanding. It is outstanding. The movie itself, I had a hard time buying. Like we got a 63-year-old playing a 43, or a 60-year-old playing a 43-year-old, and a 33-year-old playing a 40-year-old as a husband and wife team, and I just had a hard time. Like, I don't care how good an actor Gary Oldman is, man. There's other dudes out there, and
not cool.
And I was going to bring up this tweet from that went viral in response to that. It was like from a 40-ish actress, I believe an actress. Anyway, she said something along the lines of like, Hollywood doesn't, we're not forgotten. You deliberately erase us. You're hiring 33-year-olds to play 40-year-olds. Like, there's not a woman that's like in her 40s in the movie, even though like that's the age that Mank was and the age that women that he was surrounded himself were. I don't know. So I guess, I mean, some of this might sound kind of nitpicky, but I just felt like the movie just, it was a love letter. It was a love letter. And like, as it started, I'm like, this is amazing. This feels great, but you better have like some really strong nostalgia for like the 40s movies, which I actually do. And it just dragged. It's just fucking dragged, man. It dragged and dragged and dragged. And there's the thesis statement of this movie is Mankiewicz, right? Henry Mankiewicz, right?
Herman Mankiewicz.
Herman Mankiewicz, underappreciated. Orson Welles stole a lot of the credit. There you go. That just summed it up. It doesn't take 2 hours to say that. That's how I feel.
Remember the 80s when like every 16-year-old kid was played by like a 30-year-old like grown adult? I mean, it's kind of the same thing for me. It's like, well, whoever can like maybe give you the glimpse. As he says himself in the film, you give an impression of an artist, and I think you can give the impression of someone in their 40s, even if you are maybe Gary Oldman's age. But I love the film. Bit inaccessible. I watched it with Ange, my wife, and that's what she said. She's like, this is gorgeous. The acting is fucking brilliant, but I don't know jack shit about California politics in the 30s. I don't know anything about the studio system and its politics. So they're not giving you anything to kind of latch onto so you can ride the narrative. It's just vomited on you, and you're expected to be like, just like juggling everything at once and loving it. But God damn, that script was just so superb and unique for me. But yeah, I'm hearing a lot of that. A lot of people like it. A lot of people are like,
I'll give it another shot. And the score I've already been listening to like while I work and stuff. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss.
We're so sorry.
I know, it's tragic. I'll tell you what, I've not seen that movie, but now that there's such a spirited conversation, I feel like I will try to check it out and join in, because I love 30s Cali politics. That's how I feel. Eric Brancham, this is your moment. Tell us what you've been watching, and tell us what is the number one recommendation of this week?
Aside from Booth Fest, which has been going on, and we got another one tonight, an old In Search Of episode starring Leonard Nimoy from the 70s. Did John Wilkes Booth survive? That's on literally waiting for me.
Spoiler, he didn't.
Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. But anyway, aside from Mank, I also watched Houseboat from 1959 starring Cary Grant and Sophia Loren. It literally takes Cary Grant until about an hour and 8 minutes into the film to be like, oh my gosh, you're gorgeous. Like up until then, he does not even notice how drop dead beautiful this woman is. And it's a romantic comedy. Yeah, I had to scratch my head. I'm like, Randolph Scott that close to the set or what? But a fun movie, a cute movie. Aside from that, my big recommendation of the week. I also watched Halston. I talked about that on Instagram. It's this documentary about a fashion designer he's largely forgotten. I mean, he's before Perry Ellis and Calvin Klein. And I don't know, for some reason, I just got really interested in the description. So I checked it out, and it's an awesome fucking documentary. It talks about art and how it blends with business and how the two, when they collide, it just gets ugly, but in a really unique way. I thought it was a really well put together documentary that is on Amazon Prime. My big recommendation.
Thread.
Say that again?
Then you fired up Phantom Thread, of course.
It literally is on my top 10 list of all time. I fucking love Phantom Thread. I don't know what it is with me and fashion designers. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know. I'm sure we talked about it on the show before, and I just forgot.
He hasn't mentioned it on the show, and he really hasn't.
Okay, because that's surprising to me. I
fucking love it so much.
I'm also surprised.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was kind of like an Inherent Vice territory, but
yes,
that's turn off immediately territory.
I got through it.
Territory. It doesn't mean he lives in the same house.
Yeah, right? I got through it. It's the Ohio to the Kentucky.
My top recommendation is Sound of Metal. You guys got to see this. It's on Amazon Prime. Riz Ahmed plays this drummer, and he starts suffering hearing loss, and he's got to deal with it. I mean, they tell you that in the first 5 minutes, and the rest is just beautifully shot, well acted, gorgeously scripted, and it's from a second-time filmmaker that's relatively unknown that I think is going to hit big after this beautiful character study. Excellent.
I read your review. I need to read that. And Riz Ahmed, I think, is one to watch too. He's good.
And that was it.
Well, get back to Booth Fest. Settle in. By the way, he died shortly after the assassination. Just I heard. Okay, good.
Really not a lot of historical dispute on that. Just coming from a couple of historians real quick.
Doesn't matter. When you're balls deep, you're balls deep.
Doesn't matter. The internet says it's. You can just follow it all you want. Yeah, there you go.
It's on a disc. It's all for you. Okay, so I watched Proof of Life, which is a 2000 film. Russell Crowe.
Yeah, how was that?
By Russell Crowe and David Caruso. They're buddies and they're co-starring almost. I love it. I love David Caruso. I don't know
where
why.
Where'd he go?
Yeah, where did he go? He's great in this film, man. It's so fucking stupid. It just makes me laugh. And it's a kidnapping film because Meg Ryan's husband, spoiler, it's not really, because that's really the whole movie. It's not a spoiler. David Morse gets kidnapped in the jungles of South America in a made-up country called Tikala. I Googled it to verify in case I had never heard of it or a name change had occurred in the last 25 years. No, they just had to not call it anything, which I guess is kind of cool, but no, it sucked. Anyway, don't watch that movie. But I loved Proof of Life back in the day on DVD in like 2001. I watched it a lot, and I regret that now. So I want to be clear about that.
Why would they make up a country just for the film? They didn't want to upset any political unrest because of this stupid movie no one saw?
Apparently it was a fucking nightmare of a shoot though, because they filmed it in Ecuador at like 14,000 feet and it was just hellish. It's a hellish shoot apparently. So if you're into hellish shoots, it's on the list. I watched, what is this called? I don't even know what this means. Far From Home? Is that a movie?
Yeah, Far From Home.
What is it? I don't even recognize it.
Is that the Jeff Daniels, Anna Paquin film about like the birds?
No, isn't it like Milo and Otis?
I fucking wrote it down on my own list, which is fresh this week.
Incredible Journey?
Someone let me know.
I'm looking
it is
it
a
up.
Milo, yeah. But there's another Far From Home because that's not the one.
Homeward Bound 2. Far From Home.
Yeah.
Far From Home, The Adventures of Yellow Dog.
Oh, yeah. That's not what I watched. But I do remember that movie.
Okay, there's Far From Home from 1989 with Matt Frewer and Drew Barrymore.
Oh, okay.
No?
Nope.
How
keep
about
going,
Far
keep
From
going.
Home from 2014?
Yeah, maybe.
With
Maybe.
nobodies. I don't know these people.
Yeah.
Barry Watson, Stephanie Bonfetten. It's a drama. Once upon the death of the estranged uncle, an embittered writer returns to his hometown. Ring any bells?
Fuck. I guess maybe I wrote this down to watch it and then I didn't.
Are you talking
Shit.
about Far From Heaven with Julianne Moore?
A young couple struggles to keep their marriage afloat in a foreign country. Oh wait, that's Far From Here. I don't know, dude.
Okay.
I don't know what you watch. You keep better track of your life.
It's a dream.
I can't believe I make a mistake like that, but that's fucking funny. That's what it says right here. Far From Home. Okay. Of course, as Travis said, I watched House again. I hadn't watched House in 30 years. This really took me back to the 80s, but I actually preferred House 2, which I followed up with. And House 2 is harder to find, much more terrible probably, but the same fucking thing. It's Ari Gross and a bunch of dipshits with Bill Maher showing up with a killer mullet as the super duper, like, music impresario. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But
I'm gonna check it out. I mean, the
Yeah.
first one was so bonkers.
oh, that's what it is. This is what it is. Yes, I didn't put the Spider-Man in front of it. Yes, I watched Spider-Man Far From Home. Thank you, Chad.
I'm so
How did we
fucking
not
confused.
think of that?
How do you not know
Travis,
that it was at least
Yeah.
Spider-Man?
Yeah.
You could have at least given us that. Well, it's a Spider-Man movie, guys. We're searching for some dumb movie starring
it
Matt
sounded
Stewart from the
familiar.
80s.
I know I'm not crazy.
I'm like a huge Marvel fan.
All you had to
that's what I
say was, well, it's Spider-Man, but
like no bells. I don't know. Thanks, Chad.
I watched Spider-Man Far From Home, and I really like it.
dumb.
I like where that's going. It was a little cheesy, but
yeah,
it's pretty
it's
good.
awesome.
So. Oh, well, I liked it better than Homecoming. I'll say that. Yeah, I checked back in on some movies that we might actually do later, so I'll keep those in private. I watched Top 5. You guys ever see Top 5? Chris Rock movie, written and directed by Chris Rock about 6 years ago.
Never heard of it.
no,
Huge
dude.
cast. Tons of people in it. JB Smoove, Gabriel Union, Rosario Dawson. It's really about his life after, like, because he was an alcoholic. I guess he's in recovery now. And I watched it in 2014 and hated it. Watched it again now. I loved it. So I don't know.
So this is like that Leonard Pryor movie where he made the movie about himself smoking crack and lighting himself on fire.
In a
Jojo
sense,
Dicker.
except that, like, he changes things, like, because he's gonna get married on national TV to a reality star on a reality show. There's some things that are a little different, but there's a lot of truths in this film. I'm fairly certain of it. I really liked it.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I would recommend it strongly.
He's obviously becoming or turning himself into more of a serious actor, or trying to, and I'm curious to check out that road as he goes down it.
I'm excited for his Saw sequel coming out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
That's so
By,
funny.
is that what you meant by turning into a serious actor?
Well, partly. I mean, like that's not the kind of. I mean, like that's not a Chris Rock role ordinarily, right? I mean, what were you going to say, Mike? You seemed excited.
That's what the movie, like, it doesn't. I know it's not a spoiler, but like, he makes a movie in the film. He's a superstar, and he makes this serious film, and it gets shit on by everybody. So there's elements of that going forward. I don't know. There's
Tortured comics, man. They make great dramatic actors if a
Really
lot of the time.
Yeah. Anyways, I do recommend it. I saw In the Bedroom. I'd never seen In the Bedroom. This is a fantastic film, and I'm so sorry it took me this long to see it. Nick Stahl, Tom Wilkinson, Sissy Spacek, New England couple, 2001. Check it out. It's really, really good. One of the best of the year, and I just missed it that year, and I'm glad I watched it now. I watched for the first time, and this is something I was hinting at. I want to recommend this to everybody. If you haven't seen it yet, I wanted to watch it the year it came out, and sometimes life gets in the way. Finally cashed in. Me and Brian Madison had a date to watch this in 2016 at my house, and I flaked on him, and I've regretted it ever since. But I finally watched Green Room. Fucking fantastic. I love this movie.
One of the best movies. Just period.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Just one of the best movies.
I knew you guys would be like, absolutely, completely. But I finally got there. So, wow.
It's so good.
It's such a fitting tribute to...
Hey, 2015, right?
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
Hey,
someone's got to call it out. I mean,
yeah, we should.
ready.
I mean, like, I feel like it's going to hold up, but I won't watch it anytime soon. Under the expectation that we'll bring it on the show, because man, I love that movie.
Jeremy Saulnier, genius.
It did such a good job of, like, not that we're experts, but like representing punk rock culture and like but not like exploiting it, and like mixing so many elements into one movie. It's incredible. It's so unique, and it's a fitting farewell to Anton Yelkin's short-lived life. He was a great actor. He really could have been.
Oh my God, yeah.
really,
He was good.
Yeah, he was good.
Going quickly back to Chris Rock, if I may. 2 Days in New York. Did you see that one with him and Julie Delpy?
I've meant to, but never caught it.
It was fucking incredible.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's one. If you're into Chris Rock and you want to get into
check
like
it out.
a Chris Rock like vibe, check that out. It is beautiful. Film.
Yeah, I should have already.
2 days.
Eric, did you not I'm sorry, Eric, did you not also watch Sleepers? I thought you watched Sleepers. Or was that another time?
Actually, he watched it a couple weeks ago, and then I watched it last week.
Oh, okay.
But I was going to say that it very well might come up on
this. Yeah, because we were talking about it. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I won't watch it. I've seen that.
But Eric sent us the picture of the.
Well, I've always just Wichita, give me a run, war Nico, hey, nay, no. I've just, I thought we were.
It's so bizarre. Ron Eldridge smiled that he cracks with that song raising up in the mirror.
So perfect.
Really good. Really, goddamn, it's so good. I watched Stuber. Stuber is great. I really
liked it. The fuck?
I enjoyed it.
I did too.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. But go ahead. I didn't want to.
No, I want to hear your thoughts on it because I know you'd seen it, and I don't think Eric had. Have you seen it, Eric?
No.
I'm blanking. What's Nanjiani? What's his name? Nanjiani. I can't think of his first name.
Yeah, Dave Bautista.
What's his first name? Camille Nanjiani.
Yeah,
is that correct?
That is correct.
I want to see more of him. I'm really excited about the Eternals. I think he's a good leading man. I really liked The Big Sick. I think he's funny. I think he's charismatic, and I thought he carried that movie really well. And Dave Bautista also like big Vin Diesel energy. Like in general, like this guy is not like The Rock. This is not somebody you just plug into any old movie. But like he was the highlight of the Bond movie I watched the other day, Spectre. Oh. He was probably the best part of the movie.
Blade Runner 2049 too.
Oh, I forgot he was in that. Yeah,
that awesome opening chunk.
I forgot about that.
Stuber's, it's a comedy, but like it has, it seems like they're doing a better job more than ever of like mixing honest topics into comedy. And some people are doing it really like Vacation kind of reminds me of that. Vacation was a stupid continuation that was a lot of stupidity, but there were some honest things in it. Mm-hmm. Seems like people are getting better at that, or at least this generation of writers.
Well, I was thinking about it the other day and how, like, so much of the comedy that we grew up with just always depended on just mocking someone, just always just in some way, like making fun of like some part of their identity that they just can't really control. And that just like has always just been part of it. And more that's just not what people want and not what people want to create. And the result is like some very like honest and heartfelt, kind of comedies. Thank you, Matt Wilson. I appreciate the love for the love of the shirt. But yeah, so I mean, I think that you were just going to leave that up until I acknowledge it. So
I'll probably leave it up for half an hour. I don't know. It's a unique shirt. So.
But no, yeah, I'm wearing a Zuki Lake Tavern shirt. It's classic.
Eat a pizza, get a free shirt.
Represent. No, I paid for this. I didn't need to.
Well, people do pay for them as well. I didn't mean to minimize your shirt. I apologize.
Please don't.
Please. Anywho,
how dare you? How dare you?
Stuber's funny. Check it out, and it's heartfelt. It's well written. That's the bottom line. It's well written. That's what I like about it. I finally watched Waves, which Travis, I know you said was amazing.
I heard this is so good.
What do you think? Did I oversell it? I mean.
No, because it really is an incredibly powerful film. There's a lot of space in this film.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible amount of space.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing necessarily. You just have to, it just might not be for everyone, but it's so well, the colors and the cinema. I mean, like the South Florida never looked so good.
The story, the way it's told, everything about it literally is moving in waves. I mean, like everything about this movie, like that's where that space comes in. It's low tide, like, and then like all of a sudden there's just a rush of all this shit happening. You're like, oh my god! Then you're like, and then you just kind of get into this like kind of like absent kind of like spacey space, and then like all of a sudden shit's happening again.
Tons of music too. Tons of music like dominating. Yeah.
I need to listen to the score more. It's a great score. I mean, for me, it's not my favorite of 2019. It's one of my favorites.
Wow.
I had no idea what was going to happen with this film because the way it's marketed, it's like, oh, there's two people in the water. Like that's all I saw was the poster of two people in some water.
That's right,
like
to see a movie.
It was. You're right because it felt like it. I admit it felt like 4 hours, but I still loved it. I did love it. I thought it was great. And
all right.
It was
glad to hear it.
Everything
needs more love.
Yeah, it does need more love. I agree. And lastly, okay, two more quick ones. I want to recommend The Art of Self-Defense. This movie's off the wall. It's fucking dumb as fuck. You won't even believe where this movie goes sometimes. I'm just going to say that. It's got Jesse Eisenberg. He's a really, really opposite of Lex Luthor in this one. He's very frail. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Art of Self-Defense. Check it out.
Yeah, this writer-director, Riley Stearns, he's done 2 movies. That's his second one. And both of them, man, are just killer movies. That and I already forget the other one. It's starring I fucked her. What's his name? Leland Orser. Yeah. Damn it.
What a legacy.
I hate
Hey, it's you. I know you. Oh, yeah. Oh, I fucked her.
If you like him, he started that movie. But anyways, like both of these movies this guy has done are like really dark comedies, really funny, but like having pretty big things, I think, to say if you sit and think about them for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called a movie called The Faults that he did.
Yeah, Faults.
I haven't seen that.
It's called
Faults. Yeah. Yeah, this movie's wow. And by the way, like it was good to see fucking Pollux Troy. I hadn't seen him in so long. I'm like, oh shit! And he's like a main character in this movie in 2019.
Alessandro Nivola.
Yeah, is that his name?
Troy. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, Pollux Troy. Like, look at you.
Later, bro.
I love that. Now, you hate that movie, but I'd like that. And lastly, I would like to recommend a movie I'd never seen. I'd never seen this film. It's a David Mamet film I'd never seen, and I'm glad I watched it. It's called The Spanish Prisoner. Steve Martin.
So good.
It might be.
It's been on my list. It's been on my list for the show actually, but it just felt too
really?
It just felt too obscure.
It was to me. It was to me because I saw the title, and the only thing that made it relevant to me was seeing Mamet on the writing and directing. But then I saw the cast. I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna check this out. I love that
Rebecca Pigeon. I don't know where she is. I think she just stays on stage, but she is just lovely. I haven't seen her since like the late '90s. State in Maine, and
always found her to be just completely unbelievable and just like a terrible actress and in everything that she's been in. But I do love David Mamet movies, and he clearly loves her because he puts her in everything that he's done. And Spanish Prisoner, he's married to her. I wonder why he puts her in his movies. But yeah, Spanish Prisoner, man, you got Steve Martin in one of his few really dramatic roles, and Campbell Scott, who I adore. I can watch the man do just. I watched it I watched a documentary like in my class, and he's like playing like George Washington. I'm like back it up, like this is so good. Look at him, this reciting Washington's stuff. I'm like, yes, right.
Cool, dude. His writing is so unique, and not everybody talks the way he writes necessarily, but I like the way there's always something being brought to attention, and there's an honesty in the way people say things, even if it is a little maybe aloof or maybe a little different than what you might run into in fucking Iowa. I don't know. It's just
Did you see Edmund with Bill Macy?
I never saw that one.
That is one to check out. The David Mamet film with Bill Macy. It's close cohort, but Bill. Hi, we're friends. But yeah, check that out if you get into the groove of some Mamet, because it's really into Julia Stiles and Bill Macy. Edmund.
Julia Stiles.
That sounds promising. I think she's a great actor. I really like her.
I liked her work. She
just kind of fell off, but man, she's good. She's really good.
Some stories about her.
She turned 40, right? And you heard some stories.
Yeah.
I was sad to see that when it was the last dance. When say the last dance, I'd hope there'd be one more dance because she was so incredible in that great.
Was she in Othello?
I actually skipped.
She
was in O. Yeah, she was in O with that guy, Josh Hartnett.
It's that guy. Anyways, Julia Stiles, where are you now? By the way, before we get into our main event, which is Memento, we're going to talk Memento. Does it hold up? Does it have the goods? In 2020, can a Christopher Nolan film hold up? Hardly. No, I'm just kidding. We have no idea. I will tell you this.
Mike, did you watch the Gordon Lightfoot documentary?
Oh, I haven't done it yet. It's on the list. It is on my list. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm not.
So was Heaven's Gate. Right after Heaven's Gate? Okay.
He wants Heaven's Gate.
I don't have Amazon. I don't have Amazon, so I don't have the access you have. Believe it or not, it seems like the whole world has Amazon, but I don't. I'm not lying, and that's what it's on, right? Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Okay, well then maybe Christmas. Maybe someone will
pencil it in over there. There you go.
Okay. By the way, I wanted to mention quickly a scathing article from the Hollywood Reporter on Johnny Depp.
I read it.
You read it?
I read it. Yeah, scathing is the word.
Oh no!
Did you, I didn't read it, but I listened to a podcast about it. If we don't have to go way in depth, but I just like to get. I mean, is it over? Is this man's fall from grace a complete now?
Look, like if you know me, you know that I've been like on Team Johnny Depp like the whole time. Like I love him. I've stayed on board. This was the first thing that I've read where I was finally like, oh fuck, I don't know, man. Like some of this is really damning. It's pretty bad. Like
it's a pretty good reporting piece. I think they actually put some effort into this. It's not just some gossip shit either. So
I mean, like part of me has always been like, look, he's a very famous man who's been very famous for a long time. Like I imagine he's somewhat like a spoiled child, and probably not someone I would want to know personally. If he's a huge movie star, what do you expect from these people? Like, but I've always loved his work, and I still love the work that he's putting out for the most part. Some of it's gotten pretty shoddy, but Mordecai's great. But there it is. But man, like, yeah, read the article for yourself if you're curious. But what's it called? Like the implosion of Johnny Depp or something like that in the Hollywood Reporter.
Self-implosion. It's like it makes a point of saying that, not other people.
The argument that's making in a nutshell is that that his response to it could have gone easier for him had he not just like gone to sue the hell out of everybody. If he would have settled some and tried to be quiet about it, but instead he got really vindictive. Is like that's the argument of the article. I mean,
he's got some wild ass ties with some kind of shady, scumbaggy people in countries where people don't necessarily treat people very well. There's a lot going on there. I just wonder. Let's say he hits the bottom, whenever that is.
It may be now. I mean, another point of the article is that he's just so like combustible that no one will work with him even if they wanted to.
Yeah. So let's say that's the case. All right, this is it. This is, he goes away for a couple of years. Whatever the fuck happens with people. We have had so many Hollywood comebacks under the entire umbrella of the history of Hollywood. So, I could definitely see a period where a man or a woman, or whoever it is, gets their life together and says, you know what, maybe I did do a few bogus things and I want to make amends for that. And then they start making movies again and people love that. So.
No, they don't. What they need to come out and have some sort of apology? No, they just get a friend to make a movie with them, and then another one, and then another one, and then they're good to go. Mel Gibson, here you are.
Yeah, I was being pretty ridiculous. Eric, final word. We know you're being really silent. We know you love Johnny Depp. You don't have to incriminate the man, but just give us your opinion.
I don't know the man, so it's hard for me to even hear what someone as reputable as a Hollywood Reporter is saying and asking myself, well, what's the angle here? I don't blame him at all for suing the son for calling him a wife beater and then losing that case because in another country, they are very more, they're not as lenient on laws and stuff like that as we are. So he loses the suit and everyone is like this or that. But who am I to say? The guy is proven himself as a very sweet philanthropist in a lot of aspects of his life that I know about. Is he a fucking drunk that hoards like $1 million of wine and gets drunk and may have temper tantrums? Maybe. What can we prove? I mean, what are we even talking about here? We don't know him. We don't know the truth. I'm not going to trust some rag that he probably needs a story.
Well, okay, one, the Hollywood Reporter is not a rag.
I would verify that.
And two, like part of the point of the article was that they're saying that look, like this the whole point of the case is that a judge is saying that this judge is saying that he believes that that Amber Heard was in danger for her life or had good reason to believe that she was because of physical abuse that was taking place on the part of Johnny Depp. So like make of that what you will. I agree that like it's not we don't just have to just automatically believe everything we hear, like by no means, but one of the points of the article was, and again, like there's a bunch of stuff that like if you're skeptical, read the article yourself because we're not summing everything up here. There's a lot there, but one of the points of the article, like they interviewed like a PR guy who does like crisis PR, and he made the point that he's like he'll always have people that like him because like Donald Trump, there are some people that will follow someone regardless of who they actually are because of their charisma, their personal attachment to that person, and what they've how they viewed that person over the years as they saw them play characters. And I was like,
it's already like ingrained in them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I just want to see Johnny Depp do quality roles and have a late like Twilight career where he's like, wow, I love that movie, and he could like a supporting role. You know, hell, if he won a supporting Oscar someday in a movie and he's like 65, I'm like, yes, like a Jack Lemmon run. Not that he's comparable to Jack Lemmon at all. I'm just saying a Twilight like that.
Look, he's a great actor. I mean, the man's a great actor.
Right.
And I don't want him to go away by any stretch. I mean, but like, yeah, if he's, I don't know. We'll see where this all goes. I'm not off Team Johnny yet, but like this, I do recommend that people read the article.
Always the number one recommendation. Read it for yourself. Don't hear it secondhand. But we talk about it because this is a movie show. We talk about film. We talk about actors, and this stuff matters. So I just hope that Johnny Depp can have a life that he enjoys before he passes to the great beyond, which is where we're all going, by the way. Just in case you forgot, we're all hitting the high road someday. But right now, not quite that time, my friend. We are going to do some Memento. That's right. Cinema 9 Podcast presents Does It Hold Up? 2000's Memento. Listener's choice selection by the one and only Derek Fern. Travis?
If you're a Christmas fan, No Lights, No Talk 1030.
That's right. It's directed by Christopher Nolan, one of the most iconic directors of the last 30 years. Undebatable in that department. So let's get into it. Don't forget the Cinema 9 Pod. You can email the show, cinema9pod at protonmail.com. Let us know what you think of this show. What do you think of the movie? What do you think of anything we talked about? Of course, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's right, Cinema 9 Pod and all your favorite social media formats. And give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Okay, let's do it. Let's dive into it. Year 2000. This movie comes out.
It's the year 2000.
Did anyone see this movie in the theater? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Oh, Travis. Well, let's go ahead, Travis. Dive in.
So
tell us about that theater experience.
I was at Full Sail. I was in film school when this movie came up, and man, I just like there was so much buzz. It was definitely like kind of like when Requiem for a Dream came out. Like it was just like everybody was like, "This is the movie," you know. So I went and saw it with a whole big crew of film nerds. And we for the rest of the year, you know, it was something that was just referenced and talked about and talked, you know, like we were all pretty dang impressed with it. And I really felt like it was a groundbreaking movie and a announcement of an important new writer director. And I was right in a lot of ways.
Wow, that is an awesome way to see that film. Because it really became a classic, and you got to see it with a bunch of people who really appreciate film.
It's true.
I'm jealous. I'm a little bit envious. Am I jealous or envious? Which one is it?
You can be both.
The same thing? I don't know. We had this debate with a friend of mine a week ago. He said there was a difference. Anyways, I think they're the same. Eric Brandstrom, the year 2000. You saw this. What? You see this with Jimmy and Chad and everybody? Because I wasn't there with you.
I think the great Chad Gibbons is right when he recently messages the show via Facebook that he and I saw it along with who we suspect to be the legendary Brian Madison and maybe Crystal Gibbons at the AMC Livonia. I do remember going in about 15 minutes late. Listen, we heard that it was blowing up the festival circuit. We saw the talk. All we really knew is that it's a movie that's told backwards and it's supposed to be fucking amazing. So we went in there and you know, even if you go in there on time, you're going to be fucking confused. But if you go in there like 15 minutes late, you're bass backwards. You have no clue what's going on. But when the lights came up and it was over, we just sat there breathless. And it was speechless. We didn't even know what to say. We literally almost went right back in and saw it immediately. Our minds were blown. There was a new filmmaker in town, a voice so unique, unlike anything we've heard in our entire lives. And we could not wait to get back in that theater and see it again.
And the group I went with, we didn't know that it went in reverse. We didn't know that going in. All we knew was that it was like a good movie.
Even better. That's what I say. But I didn't know that either. So I'm with Travis. I also did not see this movie in the theater. I saw it on DVD whenever it came out. Yes, DVD around 2001-ish. Whenever it came out, I was living at the famed Harbor Cove Apartments, or no, Nob Hill. Harbor Cove's Whitmore Lake. Nob Hill, Okemos, Michigan, live. Got it. You've never seen Memento, Matt Wilson? Okay, that's
Get
fine.
it together, Matt.
Get it together. Yeah. Yes, I saw this when Brandon Harvey got this for Christmas around that time. Like he got the DVD and we watched it, and I was like, "Wow!" It just blew my mind. I didn't know who Christopher Nolan was. I didn't even know Guy Pearce was. I mean, I saw LA Confidential, so that's not true. I take that back immediately. I lied. I just
Yeah,
lied
you knew
there.
who he was.
That was a complete lie. I loved it. Yeah, it was great. But it was like a weird experience because I was like, what just happened? I remember being confused. I remember having that Total Recall feeling, the original Total Recall. Like,
Recall.
I
Sorry,
remember
Gary.
being confused, very confused about what's going on with this movie. And definitely, since we had it on DVD, we could watch it again and again and again. So that's where it happened there. And I never saw it in the theater, though. I feel like you guys are ahead of me. You guys win.
Is it one you watched a lot over and over again?
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, like it's one I watched, and then then I owned it, and I watched it for being a movie that I owned. I did not watch it a lot. I watched it maybe, I would guess, like 3 or 4 more times, and then didn't watch it again until last night.
Wow.
Oh shit. Okay, that's interesting. It was a hard run on Memento. In fact, I'm pretty certain I've watched Memento with Derek Fern one night, possibly in his basement. That may not be true, but I feel like it's true. So I'm going to go with that gut feeling for now. But Memento was watched again and again and again, at least by me, with many people for a couple of years. And even after that, like even with like other friends of mine, Jamie and Chris Deary, and they were always doing the Lenny. They would do like their fucking tagline. That's all they ever do is that Lenny all the time. So people, this movie was a big deal. And I haven't seen it though in probably 8 years ish.
Been about 15 years for me. I mean,
19 or 18, 19, I would guess.
Fuck me. Okay, well, hey, I haven't looked up the score yet. Did anyone else look up the score?
No,
I did not.
Okay, so this obviously is a Christopher Nolan film. He's got to get a high. It's got to be an 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7.8.
Oh Christ!
Oh,
I'm
no
gonna
way.
say I'm gonna say like 8.5.
Okay, 8.5. So you said 7.8, 8.5. I'm gonna go 8.7. Here we go. Oh, 8.4. Good job. I mean, Eric was one over, but he was closest. But Price is Right rules.
I was over.
Yeah, you're over. You lose. But 8.4. Yeah, that's a rock solid score. I know that this is probably better than maybe at least one of the Batman trilogy films. Would you guys agree with that or no?
I would not agree.
Or would that give away too much?
I mean, I personally just feel like Dark Knight Rises is pretty vilified. I think it's a good movie.
Okay.
I don't see any reason to compare these, Michael.
That's a good idea too. I mean, they are pretty different films with really different budgets.
Well, sometimes, hey, this is America. We do lists, okay? And we categorize lists by the people who make the films. So Christopher Nolan, top 10 movies, go. That happens in this country. I'm just saying. Anyways, this is an 8.4 on IMDb, and it's got a lot of ratings, over 1.1 million ratings. That's a lot of ratings.
People
love a lot of ratings.
That is a lot of ratings. But as far as Rotten Tomatoes goes, yeah, it's the same deal. 93%, 94%. That is, I mean, that's just about as close as you can get with a film between critics and audience. Rock solid, tight consistency. Does that surprise either of you?
No, not really.
No.
Okay, no one's surprised. Well, you guys do know film, so that makes sense. But of course, I'm dying. I'm really hoping that Destin Thompson checks in on this one because we have not heard from him.
Bring
recently.
me Destin.
And by the way, let's pay tribute to Travis, his beautiful creation, which was in, tribute to Destin Thompson and his years of service as a critic.
Yeah, I made a meme. I made a I love Destin meme. We love Destin meme, in fact.
Everybody does, right?
Who doesn't love Destin Thompson? You know what he did? You know what he went on to do after this? You know what he retired? He retired as a film reviewer. Do you guys know what his next career was?
No way.
Obama speechwriter.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Obama speechwriter. That's right.
That's what he did.
Yep.
I didn't know that until I made the meme, and I just kind of stumbled across the information as I was meme making.
Fuck me. I feel like that guy in RoboCop. Fuck me. Destin
Thompson may have wrote the famous "Yes I Can" speech. We don't know.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? He said shit on me, and I laughed. What'd you say?
I said Destin Thompson may have wrote the famous "Yes we can" speech. We don't know.
The famous "shit on me" speech. Everyone
on me, America.
John Polito for president.
Okay, the show's off the rails. All right. Destin Thompson says Memento doesn't just draw you into a dramatic mystery. It makes you aware of human mystery. And that's food for thought and entertainment. Loves this film. Big fan. Roger Ebert says, the movie doesn't supply the usual payoff of a thriller. How can it? Question mark in parentheses. But it's uncanny in evoking a state of mind. Is that true?
I remember making a comparison about this movie. I don't know that I felt it when I watched it last night, but I remember comparing this movie to Charles Bukowski. Remember, as a kid, 2000, I was 20, so I was reading a lot of Charles Bukowski, and you'd read Bukowski, and then your brain would kind of work like Bukowski for a few hours until you kind of deprogrammed. And I kind of remember feeling the same way about this movie, that the absorption of what's happening and then the assessing afterwards of things. I remember feeling like I kind of would have to reorder how I was thinking about life after the movie, but I didn't feel that way last night.
Definitely fragmented type of film,
but I'm thinking that's
in a good way.
I'm thinking that's what Ebert was talking about.
Okay, that makes sense. By the way, Mike Clark of USA Today, he's always very brief. A terrifically compelling little mystery, period.
He got paid for that?
We need a
He did! Say what's with these reviews. Pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. I think this will make a couple bucks. I need to find a shitty review, though, because we need to be fair. It's hard to find them, though, guys. I got to be honest. There's just endless amounts of red, fresh tomatoes all up and down the page, because this film, like we said, it was 93% by critics, 94% audience. Stephen Ray of the Philadelphia Inquirer. This terrifically satisfying film. Stephen Ray, not that. Yeah, it's with a V, though. A V. This terrifically satisfying film. Do it. Someone do the Stephen Ray from.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Kill your own kind.
So stupid. Thank you. Stephen Ray from the Village Voice says of Memento, kill your own kind. That's it.
Oh, boy. This terrifically satisfying film brings to mind 40s and 50s noir films.
Yes,
absolutely. Which the audience is as unsure about the protagonist's hold on reality as the protagonist is himself.
And this is a negative review, you say?
Oh, that's positive. That's sorry. I'm still trying to find a negative one. Oh, here we go. Here's a negative review. This is from Marjorie Baumgarten of the Austin Chronicle. I assume this is Austin, Texas, although it could be Austin, Boston, Texas. No, I don't know. In forward progression, the narrative would garner little interest, thus making the reverse storytelling a filmmaker's conceit.
I think that she's right.
She's onto something.
Because the movie was not planned to be this. If I recall it correctly, you guys help me out. But as I recall, the movie was not set up they didn't film it with the intention of doing it like that. And basically, he finished and went this is kind of man, and then went and reordered everything and put it and edited it. Is that correct? Do you know, Eric?
I'm not sure if that was the original intent, but I completely agree with her. I mean, we'll get into it.
It is based on the short. Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead.
We're not getting into it. We're doing it now. That was a good segue.
It's based on the short story by his brother, right? And the short story, I don't think moves in. I think it moves in chronological, regular order. For instance,
right. I mean, the big question is this a gimmick? And if this is just in regular chronological order, is it a huge deal, or is it just like any other noir pot boiler from the 40s or 50s told in a contemporary style? I mean,
is that everything? That's really what's the tipping point for this film to make it a great film?
Eric.
No, I'm just saying when it comes from, if we're talking right now about negative reviews, that's what a lot of people have been saying. I mean, great. These are weird scenes are backwards, but when you look at the thing in general and the whole story from A to Z, is it something we'd never seen before? Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, it does seem like the negative reviews, they kind of focus on gimmick stuff. And it's this Chuck Rudolph says, a con in the mode of Bryan Singer's The Usual Suspects, the scam of the year. Ouch. That's harsh. The scam of the year.
He feels scammed by the film.
He got paid to go watch this movie. He feels scammed.
Scammed. Is this a fucking Ponzi scheme? I just watched this movie.
Yeah, you're right. So not all the negative reviews are about that, though. This one says, intriguing and accomplished as it was, Memento left me unpersuaded that this trip was really necessary. So even beyond that.
right,
It wasn't even necessary.
enough of what other people said. Let's say what we have to say
It's
about
fucking
it.
stupid. But I mean, excuse me, but that is another complaint about the film. Fucking too complicated. What's going on? Too confusing. Who cares about this? But
Well,
Nolan demands your attention. Not a lot of filmmakers are doing that in 2000.
or now. I don't know that that I disagree with that though. Like as I'm watching the movie, like really early on, I'm like thinking to myself, like, God, this is an awfully convoluted way to try and get someone to kill somebody. Like if you want somebody dead, like this is just, I mean, like what Natalie's doing, what he's doing, whatever, like what John G is doing or Teddy, what everybody's doing in this movie to try and get people dead. It's just like you guys are like really taking the long way around here.
All right,
I
fine.
agree, but they're opportunistic. I mean, she stumbles upon Leonard being there. She probably wants, justice or whatever, but she stumbles upon this person and sees the opportunity. And so does Teddy, because he's a cop that was probably on the case and says, I can get a bunch of fucking money and get a lot of my enemies knocked off by using this guy. So it's not just about like murdering people and wanting people killed, because you could just kill them. But there's an opportunity there with this bizarre figure.
Yeah, Derek says in our live feed, by the way, which you can watch every Thursday night around 7 p.m. if you want to join us live. He has the DVD where you can watch it in chronological order, and he says that it definitely loses its punch. So
that would be interesting.
I had the DVD, and I remember that feature, and I remember choosing not to watch it because I was like, that's not going to work.
One thing I do remember from the commentary back in the day, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do remember them originally planning all of the Sammy Jenkins black and white stuff being just told in one just chunk. Instead of spread out throughout the entire movie, which I think makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just the backward storytelling. There's the mix of like black and white and color. So he's using a lot of different.
Is that really that unique? I mean, maybe for the time, but I don't think it's not at all, right? I mean, like,
not now at all.
Well, even at the time, I don't know that it was that unique.
Not at all. You watch Rashomon in 1950, and they're doing something that's leagues more interesting than this nonlinear storytelling.
Yeah,
No, not that. He's talking about the black and white in the memory and the color in the now.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I'm not talking about that being unique. It's just another tool that he's using in the storytelling as a visual tool. That's it. So it's not like groundbreaking at all. No, of course not. But
the only groundbreaking thing is the out of order of the plot.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I would say so, right?
I wouldn't say anything else is groundbreaking.
No, there's no other groundbreaking points. It's just I'm looking at all the tools he's using. So he's got a cast which is really good. Carrie Ann Moss was in The Matrix, so that was her debut, really, right? You guys, is there other stuff before The Matrix that you recognize her from? Because I don't.
No, it wasn't the first thing that she did, but I know it was like her breakthrough. And her and Joey Pants came on to do this afterwards.
Yeah.
And man, like as we've said before, when he's come up on the show, like anything Joe Pantoliano is on, like I don't know what it is about this guy must just exude like crazy energy in real life, because I mean, like I could just watch the guy do anything, and everyone seems to feel the same way. And he's not like an attractive man. He doesn't sound like, he doesn't have a nice voice or like a pleasant cadence or anything. Like, but there's something about the guy that makes him just extremely watchable.
How is he doing though, by the way? Because we haven't talked about him since that accident early in our podcast run. Remember he got hit by a car or something?
He was doing fine, and I did a deep dive on him because I was missing him for like 8 to 10 years. He's in recovery, so he had a really hard time with addiction, which put him out of the limelight for a good 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish him the very best, and I hope he gets back to good health in every sense of the word and working again, because I mean, he's someone that, like, talk about. I mean, I could see him winning an Academy Award. Give this, like, we talked about Harry Dean Stanton, like as a character actor that really only starred in 2 movies at the very beginning, the very end of his career, and probably should have had more. I think Joe Pantoliano is one of those people. Like this guy, someone picked this man up and put him in like a starring role. I think he could do it. I think he'd pull it off great.
When you need a likable scumbag, call Joey Pants.
Yeah, exactly. That's it right there, man. The most likable, scummy guy, which maybe that's not what you want to be known for, but he does it
Except when he's Ralph. He's not likable in that.
Ralphie Ciceretto.
Man, I don't know, but he almost is likable. That's
no. You're not going to sell me on that. You're not going to sell me on.
I mean, he's the worst person probably in the entire.
He's not
show.
Richie. He's above Richie. I'll say that. But like,
he's one of the worst people in the entire show, and full of bad people. But like he's super compelling to watch. Yeah.
No, he is. That's true. I'll give you compelling. Won't give you likable. All right.
Okay.
So we got a killer cast here. Guy Pearce comes out of Australia. He's on the horizon now. He's the man. He did LA Confidential. Now he's doing some Memento. And, he really never quite exploded like I thought his career would. That's just a side note, in my opinion. I really thought he was on the brink of being a big star.
That's the whole thing. All of a sudden, after these intense roles at Exley, then you got Ravenous, and then this is 3 completely fucking different characters portrayed so brilliantly by this guy. He seems to have kind of blended into these supporting roles for the past 15 years.
Yeah. And which is a real shame, because the last movie I can think of that he starred in is, well, actually, there's 2 movies I can think of that he starred in. One of the older ones is The Proposition, which, if you guys have not seen The Proposition, couldn't recommend it more.
So, I need to see it.
One of my favorite movies. It's so good. Yeah, it's John Hillcoat, so it's good. And then the other movie, I can't quite think of the name of it. It's him and Robert Pattinson,
the Rover. Fucking awesome.
Rover, which was really good. Yeah, that was really good. And that's the last starring role I can think of that he did was Rover. But it was, everything he does, it's always good. I agree. I wish he'd do more. But
also, Ravenous. It was so much going on.
That's what I was going to say. Is Ravenous? Just neither one of you watch it, because I guarantee that's coming up on the show at some point.
Yeah, it's been mentioned before. I'm sure we'll do that. But I will tell you this: he shows up in bit parts in Catherine Bigelow's Iraqi drama, and then he's gone, and it's like, oh, Guy Pearce in this. Okay, and then he's not. So
Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
but he's
that was pretty. I didn't like that so much.
I think that one's underrated.
It's the worst of the 3.
I think 2 is the worst of the 3. Well, I would say 2 is at least unwatchable. I disagree with that entirely. I think 2 is a good movie, but I think it's at least good of the 3.
Okay, fine. I can live with
that. But he's so fantastic in this. He's caught up in this insane situation, and yet he keeps his cool, and he has this sense of humor. It's this really bizarre performance. My favorite thing about it is the way his interactions are with other people, because he knows how awkward his situation is, and you can see this little glint in his eye, I know this, I'm really fucking weird, and this is a weird question to ask. And everything he does, he's so committed, and he has so much conviction in this role. I don't think he gets enough appreciation. Period. This is one of the best performances of the 2000s.
Neither does Mark Boone Jr. What about him? He's great. I love whenever Mark Boone Jr. That's how he got into the Batman trilogy. He's like, oh, he hooked up here and kept on going with Nolan. But
there you go.
I feel like Stephen Tobolowsky. I know that Travis loves Stephen Tobolowsky, so he's a personal favorite.
Me. America, the world.
America does, but you love him too.
Earth does.
Yeah, society has no problem with him at all. And let's get into some of the. Do we care about the plot issues here? Does it matter to you guys as we dive into this? What really happened? Is there a John G? Did it ever happen? Did it all get fucked up? Is Sammy Jenkins? He probably was a real person. We all agree on this, right? Sammy Jenkins was real.
Yeah, Sammy Jenkins I think was real, but and like Teddy says that he was a faker, but somehow during all of this, Leonard superimposed their stories over one another to try and make himself cope with what actually happened. Because the thing about Leonard that I think I never really got until the watch last night is that he makes new memories. He even talks about it. He's like, I'm conditioning myself, and he does. He conditions himself.
Yep.
He comes to, and he does it, and he goes right for the pictures. He knows where they are and that he needs them.
He knows that you can't burn them. How would he know that?
Right, he knows all kinds of things all the time. He comes to and Natalie talks about John G, and he doesn't need to open up his shirt and find out who John G is, who raped and murdered his wife. He means oh, John G.
Yeah.
And at first I'm watching the movie thinking there's all kinds of plot holes here, and then as I'm watching it more, I'm wait a minute, I never picked up on the fact that just like Sammy Jenkins, it's not a physical condition, it's actually a mental condition, and he's the real Sammy Jenkins, and he actually can form new memories, but is somehow unable to at the same time.
So is he combining the story? Did what happened to him as it's expressed originally? Do you guys think that happened? Being his wife was murdered and raped and.
Well, no, they said
she was never murdered.
No,
she was raped, but she survived. I believe everything Teddy says at the end. Personally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I think that's pretty. I think we're very much supposed
to. That's where we're clear on. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm checking because a lot of people go. That's the thing about this movie. It lets people go in a million different directions.
Well, I think that's the tragedy of the entire film. Is that the fact that everything he's being told implicitly, hey, this is what's going on. even though he can't remember, someone wants to tell him this is your life in a nutshell. You can either choose to start writing notes that matter, so your life is different and you're not this evil, horrible person that's about to go out into the world and do more horrible things. But this is what you really are. That's what I love most about the movie.
I think that's you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the tragedy of the movie is that he says throughout the thing that, like, I need purpose. In order for this to work, I need to have purpose. And the image of him pointing at the empty spot on his chest, like that deletes his purpose when he actually kills the John G, the real John G. Like, that's what is he supposed to do after that? What reason does he have to function? So like he sets up Teddy, which, by the way, you could just, rather than writing down his license plate number, you could just scratch out Teddy and write John G on your picture. You want a puzzle. But yeah, it's all, I mean, to me, part of the movie is about, like, this is like my own shit here, but part of the movie is about like the damage that being stuck in a job does to you, and that you're just kind of like slogging through day after day and like trying to find purpose in what you're doing, and like just kind of like just trying to do it and like staying alive doing it. I don't know. And then there's something, maybe not a job exactly, but he's certainly saying something about like the nature of life and how you have to have something driving you, even if it's bullshit, even if you're lying to yourself to make yourself happy, which is literally what Teddy says at the end.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
That's the central posit. Do we lie to make ourselves happy? Everyone to one degree to another. That's why I love when Teddy's like, we all do. And he laughs it off because he's not a dangerous psychopath like Leonard is.
Oh.
So you think he is a killer? Because remember, Teddy says you're not a killer, but what makes you so good at doing it? But he is a killer.
He's one of the most interestingly dangerous people in cinema history. And this is what interests me most about this is, where does he go after this? Okay, like, what is next? If you're gonna, you could call blasphemy. You could call blasphemy on a Memento too, but I think that would be super interesting because he's got to start from scratch.
Well, no, I mean, he'd have no Teddy around to help guide him. But I mean, what you end up with is him still trying to piece the puzzle together, and maybe it takes him a lot longer, but eventually he kills an innocent person again.
I think that's part of the movie too, though, Travis. He is a likable guy. People seem to like be into him. They like him. They're drawn to him a bit. So he's always going to find other people, at least on the surface, not who he is at the core and what's happened and what he's become. But there seems to be, there'll be a new town, there'll be a new place, there'll be a new story. Yeah, exactly. I'll find more people in this area where they'll be like, oh, I'm a handsome guy, but I dyed my hair, and look at me. And they'll be like, oh, you drive a sweet car too. Cool, I like you. And there'll just be people who are connected to this guy. And that's what would be even more tragic, is like this will just continue to perpetuate itself until maybe there's some goddamn cops that know what they're doing. So
can we talk about the subtitle they almost used for this movie? I believe it was called Memento, or How I Let Someone with a Tire Iron Convince Me to Take Off All My Clothes and Then Kill Me. I mean, he's begging for his life when the guy's standing over him with nothing but a tire iron. I am like a squishy 40-year-old guy who's never punched anyone in his life who wasn't his older brother. So like someone's wanting to kill me in this dark building with a tire iron, I'm not gonna let him. I'm gonna kick him in the shit. But like this hardened like serial drug dealer guy is just like, no, please don't kill me. You're like begging for his life because he's holding a tire iron,
and he's like 95 pounds.
It makes no sense. Why is it not a gun?
A bit odd.
It is odd. Yeah, that is odd. I agree. Yeah, all right. Hey, this is the 7-9 podcast. We're talking about Memento. Does this hold up or not? We're slowly getting to that point. We're going to find out. This is a cherished film. According to critics, according to audiences, people love this movie. They're huge fans of it, so there's no need to poke holes in it. Why are we talking about it? Well, listeners chose it. That's why we're doing it. What else do we want to dive into here? I mean, by the way,
you got another podcast to get to?
I think this movie's funny. I think it's funny. I've laughed several times in this movie. So
a good job. He's chasing me. Yeah, that's a pretty great.
Oh yeah, or I don't feel drunk. That's the thing. Quick little quips that make me laugh. And
I don't think there's enough humor in it because on this viewing, I hate to say it, I kind of got a little bit exhausted. and even a little bit bored because I think it's so plot heavy that if you're not listening, like we all know Christopher wants you to fucking listen intently in Dolby Digital 8.1 to respect him,
Right.
then you're missing it. There's not enough humor. You got some from Teddy and you got the whole always chasing me, but a movie like this reminds me a lot about, believe it or not, but like The Big Lebowski, because it's convoluted as fuck.
Yep.
There's a huge intricate plot and it's noir, but it's so entertaining because it's funny and you get a lot from it. Not just, oh, this is really weird and confusing. What's going on? You get humor and you get this, you get that. For this, it's just so plot heavy that it gets a little bit tiring.
Oh,
No, I'm with
man.
you,
Who the
dude.
fuck is God?
I started to get a little bored at one point or two. I mean, that's
It
true.
is. The truth is
Yeah.
coming out. It's starting to leak out, guys. Where are we going with this? I don't know what I'm hearing.
Only because I'd seen it before. I mean, like, there's a reason why I hadn't really watched it in so long because, like, I knew what was coming.
Not very rewatchable. Then is that what you're saying? Rewatchability.
There's this Christmas store in Michigan called Bronner's. Have you ever been there?
Yes, we all.
It's fucking amazing. You go there for the first time and you feel like you're in Santa's workshop. You can't believe what you're looking at. You go there for a second time and you're like, holy shit, I feel like I'm in Christmas. Go there for an eighth time, you're like, who gives a fuck about all these ornaments and elves? For me, this last viewing, I was like, I remember all this. I wasn't getting that much emotionally from it.
So that's what you're saying, like you said earlier in the show, that it really is a gimmick and it wears off on the rewatch.
That's how I felt in like 2001 or 2 or 3 or whatever.
So what does this movie do well? What does this movie bring to you that was like, wow, I really love that?
Thomas Lennon in a weirdly dramatic role for like 2 seconds.
By the way, it shows up in Dark Knight Rises too.
Yeah,
he
must be
the doctor that fixed Bruce's leg. Yeah,
that's right. For that magical cartilage fixing brace that doesn't exist. But whatever, it's a comic book.
What this movie does offer is it tells us that Tom Cruise was in full Leonard Shelby cosplay and collateral. That's
so
for
good.
Sure.
So fucking good.
The lead blonde. What's sorry,
yeah, really, seriously, the phone stuff particularly played weak for me. Like, why? It's so exposition heavy. He knows he's about to go to the end of his loop anytime. What's the point of explaining all this if not just for the audience's sake?
I'm sorry you said that, but it's kind of true.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Something about that kind of sat not so great with me. I really like the "don't answer the phone" tattoo moment. Like when he sees that, that's a great moment. But you're right.
Like a jump scare. It's like, oh, but he did and that. But what is the whole fucking point of the conversation?
No. Well, how about here's a question: what kind of like person is he? He's the kind of person that, on one hand, will a woman who he does not know at all will tell him, "Hey, I got punched by a man." And he's just like, and knowing that he's like all fucked up, he's gonna be like, you know what? Tell me what this dude looks like. I'm gonna go find someone who looks like him, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of him, or maybe tie him up and then beat the shit out of him, and then make him drive away. I guess is what he's gonna do, and like really threateningly make him drive away. But so he's willing to do, like, I'm gonna help this total stranger, but he's also the kind of person that, like, I'm gonna punch this woman in the face. That's the kind of person Leonard Shelby is. He punches women in the face. I don't care what your condition is. I don't care how much she's saying shit in your ear in a mean way. People have said shit to me that's mean before too, and women have, and I didn't punch them in the face. I don't care. I don't care who you are. There's no explanation. There's no excuse for that.
It's a problem. And the one thing I like about the Leonard Shelby character is that in a lot of noir films, the protagonist is usually like an anti-hero and he's kind of smug. But this guy's a straight dipshit. I'm sorry. Throughout the whole movie, he's just kind of a smug dipshit. I don't really care about his story that much.
That's kind of where I'm going with it. Like, he's really like, I mean, like he lies to himself because like he needs like to have like a reason to live. Okay. And then, but like he's completely eschewed any morality from his life for the most part.
And he's not honoring his wife's memory. So there's not even a romantic aspect there to him.
Yeah. I mean, he's hiring hookers to pretend that they're her to try and trigger something in his memory, not because he misses her, because he's like stuck on revenge. And that's part of what the movie's about. Like the theme of being like, oh, revenge destroys you. Well, I've read Frankenstein. Okay.
Oh, I guess we should never do any stories about this again.
No, okay, you got to. I mean, you got me there. Like revenge stories are great. We talked about the Limey, and we love the Limey, but it's just kind of like I don't know. And maybe that's part of the point of to rethink myself after your comment, Mike. Is that we find reasons to function, and maybe we might settle on reasons that are faulty, and and become not so great people because of it, and that's worth a view or two.
Okay.
Can you make this now that you have like iPhones and like everyone's got like a studio system in their back pocket? Like, what would you even do? I mean, it came out at the perfect time, right at the cusp, or the Polaroids all you had for instant. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything's being watched all the time now, man. The party's over.
Remember non-ironic Polaroid cameras?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
They were hot pink.
I remember them, but I haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I tell you, you guys are kind of making me sad, but
I'm sorry, Mike. I mean,
everything you're saying is true, though. This movie.
You have to look at it like that, Michael. I mean, even the Carrie-Anne Moss character, who I was like, okay, Carrie-Anne Moss does such a good job playing like this manipulative, like woman. She's so condescending to him, but you get it. Like, she knows that he killed her boyfriend. So fuck this guy. By all means, like put this guy into a bear trap, but then she sleeps with him. There's weird character inconsistencies.
That's so confusing. Why does she sleep with him? I don't think they even have sex. I think she just does it to make him think that they have sex. But still, like, how could you sleep next to someone that you know? And I guess that's why she wakes up and looks startled and scared of him. And he's like, "It's just me, the guy that killed your boyfriend." But no, I agree. Like, it just seems like it would be hard to spend the amount of time around him that she does, knowing right from the get-go that this guy murdered her boyfriend.
She's tough, though. She has a deep resolve within her. And like you said, if you said that revenge drives people, then, in fact, maybe she is the same situation.
Well, and that is it. And she's trying to use him to get revenge against Teddy.
Yeah. And it's just like everybody's got their own agenda. And it's that the only good guy is Teddy.
But he's not a good guy.
And Bert, though. Bert's the better good guy. He's probably the best.
He sucks, too. He charged him double for that fucking hotel.
Yeah, but, come on. It's a minor white-collar offense.
Sammy Jenkins' non-existent wife? I guess. No, I guess
Leonard, there you go. Yeah, great.
Leonard's actual wife. That's like, don't be a prick. Let me read. I guess she's the one. She's the only decent person in the movie.
I don't know. I was more emotionally affected by Sammy Jenkins' story as portrayed by the great Stephen Tobolowsky's story than Leonard's on this recent viewing. I'll say that.
Yeah, but like you said, the phone call suck. It's all a buzzkill. It's like the phone conversations drag the movie down. I don't want to hear him talking into an old school rotary phone. Blah blah blah. It's just not. It kind of bummed me out a few years ago, and I forgot about it. I kind of did what Lenny's doing here and what everybody's doing here. People are trying to forget things and. Here I am trying to cut out that part that I didn't like so much because I wanted to remember how, man, this movie blew my mind.
And that's one of the great things about the movie is it drives home the point that your memory, as much as we think of it as our identity, it's faulty. It's weird and strange for all of us and not entirely reliable. I mean, that moment when he's like, I got to find a pen. I got to write this down. This is super important. Like, oh, look, it's me. Like trying to remember anything.
True.
Yeah. I mean, Christ, we're nearing the end, but we have to talk about. I mean, Christopher Nolan. All right, did you guys see Following, his first film?
Yep.
Not initially, but yes,
I saw it after Memento. Yeah,
the dude. He's often accused of like being, especially these days, being nothing more than like this. Like mass marketing, like spectacle film, like juggernaut. But the dude does have a fucking unique voice for a top tier blockbuster director. He's cerebral as hell. He's playing with these big toys with a lot of money, but he's trusting his audience and he's asking them to use their brains, which I can respect.
Oh yeah.
But is this one of his finest efforts nowadays? That's what I'm getting worried about.
Well, I don't know. It's one of his fledgling efforts. This is when he's getting started. And what we're talking about is someone like in a time where more than any other time, the box office, whatever's left of it, is driven by franchises and reboots, right? Like this is someone whose simple name brings people into theaters. They don't need to know, anything about the characters in advance. It doesn't even need to be huge actors. People will see a Christopher Nolan movie, and there's not a lot of directors that have that kind of pull now. Really, there's not. So that's and this is not the most recent effort. This is the first time he had sort of a decent budget. I mean, following is like what, an 81-minute movie or something. It was very much like he shot it with what, he shot it on the weekends or whatever. This is like, and this is still an independent film, and it feels like an independent film.
Clerks is way better than Following.
I hear music. Why do I hear music?
Yeah, I don't know why I hear music.
Not
Should we
my
stop
end.
the podcast?
Yep,
Not me. I live for myself. Nothing here. Anyways, yes. So the bottom line is this is not the best Nolan movie by far. I don't think it is by any stretch. In fact, you're right. Odds are some people explode on the scene and then they fall apart. Some people come onto the scene and they gradually work on their craft. And he obviously is dedicated to his craft, so he gets better and better. And I actually, Dunkirk, I respect the effort on Dunkirk, but I didn't think it was that great.
I thought it was great.
It's a directorial.
It might be his best film.
It's a directorial achievement.
Yes.
I agree. But the entertainment, I think Memento is just as entertaining as Dunkirk is. I really do.
I could see that. I could see. I mean, it's an accomplishment as far as direction goes.
Yes, absolutely it is.
I can understand that point.
Insomnia I liked Insomnia. I remember seeing Insomnia in the theater, and I really was like, wow, this is interesting. I like it. And people thought it was a letdown after Memento because it didn't have that same,
Yeah, I've really been meaning to revisit that one, especially, I'm a big Robin Williams fan, especially his dramatic work. That's what I've been meaning. I kind of leaving it off because, this is like the 80th time I've said this during the show tonight, but I kind of thought that maybe it might show up in the show, so I haven't watched it, but it's kind of like I got to start watching movies just because I like them. There's nothing wrong. Reserving everything for the show is just not good for me. Although
live your life, Travis.
Live your life. You're right.
But
the score's bad
for Memento.
Yeah,
it's not memorable.
Yeah, I can't even remember it already.
Exactly.
Is it bad?
It's not memorable.
I don't think
not
it's
memorable.
Well,
it's inconsequential. Yeah. So. But sometimes you don't need a score. That's not what defines this movie either. I don't know. We're at that point. We got to make some calls here. It's time to get down to the bottom line where we decide on the Cinema 9 podcast, our signature segment, does it hold up? And I think I already know where everyone's going, but, there's always a surprise or two. So I'll go first because I never go first. So I'll go first and say that this movie doesn't hold up. I wish it did. I loved it when I was younger, and it was everything. Wow. It was everything to me. I thought it was like, oh, man. Conversations were based around this and like, oh, imagine if you could live your life like this. And oh, man, blah, blah, blah. Someday I can't wait to see the next movie. It laid the groundwork for really being excited. Like when I said I was excited about Insomnia, I was really excited about Insomnia because I love Memento. But in 2020, it's not the same. And those conversations on the phone dragged ass back then, and I denied it. And now they really drag ass. I don't give a fuck. I'm connected in a way that has no validity whatsoever. So I'm just like, okay, I know this part. And I found myself, maybe it's because this movie is a great first watch. I think this is a tremendous first watch film, but it is not a movie that holds up. And when we say holds up, I think, at least to me, we're implying being able to watch it again and be like, oh, man, it's so good to see this film again. I mean, you don't have to watch it every year. You don't have to watch it every month. But if you throw it on every 5-10 years, be like, that's still a great movie. This is not the case.
Mike, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I feel like if you've never seen this movie, you should watch it. It is a good movie. It is an important movie. It is a well-made movie. It's a cultural touchstone from a extremely talented and important writer-director that I really think that everyone should watch. But if you've seen it, as I watch it, I'm thinking to myself, I've been meaning to watch it for a while, but I thought it'd be on the podcast. But as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, there's a reason I haven't watched this, because I knew there's a reason why I only watched it a few times after I saw it in theaters, because it is a gimmick. The whole thing moving in reverse, ultimately, it's a lot of fun to unpack it and do them. Even now, because there were some parts I'd forgotten. So I had to there was some mystery a little bit, okay, so that it's a creative way to watch a movie and to do a movie. But if you've seen it before, it doesn't really hold up.
I gotta tell you, Eric, before you say something, people are getting sad. Derek Ferns feels like and if you know Derek Fern, he definitely is taking this personally, and we're sorry, Derek. It's nothing personal.
I love you, Three Cushions fan. That
I
likes
do.
to talk on 30.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Derek Fern. I love his whole family. I think they're fantastic people. All right.
Indeed.
As we get a great facial expression from Eric Bransham, why don't you see if you can give one vote for the yay?
Mike, I have to applaud your courage for opening up the Does It Hold Up final comments. No one in their right mind would just come out. If you would have called me first to say Does It Hold Up, I probably would have cracked under the pressure and been like, oh, this is a goddamn masterpiece, everybody, right?
Really?
Hey.
I didn't know when I was going to say it didn't hold up.
The bottom line is, even though, this was recently added to the National Film Registry for culture importance. Shit. So, I mean, and you saw the IMDb score. Yeah. And you ask anybody on the street, hey, guy, you see Memento? I'd be like, goddamn masterpiece. I'd be like, okay, all right, thanks. Everyone loves it. But when's the last time they saw it? I'm talking about a film that, aside from the confusion and the fun coherency stuff and the palindromic structure, if that's a word, I think it might be. It's simply not that fun to watch. On a technical and story level, I can admire it and applaud it for what it's going for. But at this point, it leaves me very, very empty as a viewer, almost to the point where I just really don't care. Christopher Nolan is a genius, a remarkable talent, one for the ages. But this film doesn't hold up in 2020.
I mean, it's a sophomore effort, and it feels like it, and it's an important thing for him to have done. I'm glad the movie exists, but it's funny because this is this will be the podcast. So people, I'm always like, I recommended Mordecai again in this podcast. Yes, I recommended Mordecai in the same episode where I said that Memento didn't hold up. Whatever. Please still trust my judgment.
This podcast is all about our opinions because we're doing it. So
check out House. Memento sucks.
Yeah, if you want to do your own podcast and say Memento is the greatest thing I've ever heard, then please, by all means, go ahead.
I'm thinking a lot of people probably have, but
yeah. I think what's coming, the movie's becoming reality. People are remembering what they felt. They're not checking in. Eric, you made a really good point. People are not watching this movie again and again.
You made the best point of the night. The first time we saw it in theaters, we were blown away. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen. You watch it 10 more times, especially 20 years later, you're like, okay, all right, I remember, but
Bronner's.
Beautiful. Bronner sums it up so well. Although I'd love to go to Zender's for the chicken when I'm in Franklin.
It's not that good. Oh, yeah. It doesn't hold up either. I'm telling you. It's fatty. There's way too much skin, and they overcooked it.
Oh, is there such thing as too much skin?
Ew.
I mean, that's a weird. Out of context, that would be a terrible.
That's really weird.
I need more skin on my chicken. That's all I know. By the way, Derek, we want to thank you for making this.
Exactly, Derek.
We do love and appreciate participation from everybody on the Cinema 9 team. You guys are part of the team. We're all on the same team here. So even though it didn't hold up,
I can't believe it. 3 didn't hold up from Memento. This is considered an absolute classic by everyone.
I thought I was going to be swimming upstream with this one. I thought I was going to be fighting you guys on this one and being real awkward. But
I thought before I watched it, I was going to be feeling that way, but that's not what happened. So
I didn't think I was going to sleep tonight. I'd be texting you all evening. Yeah, you guys are right.
Well, hey, bottom line is Memento gave us an hour and 23 minutes worth of conversation. Thank you, Derek. Thank you to all the listeners. Your choices. We had 21 choices. It was great. So we'll keep that rolling. Yeah. We'll bring back listener's choice again. We'll try to maybe 86 some of the extremities of the listener's choice.
New rules coming soon.
We're going to play selection. We'll give you the details later, but we're going to play selection. If you were ever in Jimmy's basement, you know what we're talking about. Because we made this podcast just for the 10 friends we have, obviously, right?
Well, why not? I mean, we're not getting paid to do it, so we're doing it because we want to. All right, so this is Cinema 9 Podcast, Cinema9pod at protonmail.com. You can email us about everything you heard today. Does Memento hold up? Are we psycho? Please let us know. And follow the show. Give us 5 stars, Apple Podcasts, yada, yada, yada. All right, Travis, I guess we're back to you now as we swing into December. We're in the heat of the holiday season.
Absolutely.
A couple weeks out. Hanukkah starts tomorrow, so you got to pick a Jewish
I thought it was tonight. Yeah, you're right. Happy Hanukkah to our listeners. And to you.
Thank you.
Usually when I pick this, or when any of us pick this, it's like this whole thing where I'm like, I don't know, like down to the minute, like I'm going to decide in the moment. Like there's so many movies. This one I've known for weeks. I've known before I even picked Home for the Holidays what I was going to pick. I've known. I probably maybe should pick a Christmas movie, being the time of the year that it is. And I'm not picking a Christmas movie, although it takes place around Christmas. It's not a Christmas movie.
We still got more time for Christmas. It's fine.
Eric can pick one if he wants to.
I got you.
I thought instead that since the calendar year is coming to a close, the year of the podcast is not, but the calendar year is coming to a close, and I thought it makes sense to finally get one of these movies under the belt that we just keep talking about doing, but haven't actually brought onto the show. And I, in particular, keep on talking about 1992 Phil Alden Robinson's Sneakers with Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, River Phoenix. It's happening, folks. We're finally going to watch Sneakers. And I gonna go in thinking that it's gonna hold up. I love the fuck out of this movie growing up. I love this movie.
It is
so much, but it's been a really long time since I watched it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Has it really?
Since I watched it, I mean it's been at least 15 years.
The impression that you've been watching it. It seemed like I was getting
there was a long stretch where I watched it regularly, but I would guess 10, 15 years probably since I watched
15 years. I'm pumped. It's your mother.
Yes.
Wow,
right,
this better hold up, or I'm going to be fucking crushed.
I know.
I mean,
I almost don't want to watch it. I just want to live it in my heart and memory.
That's
I'm not going to say anything.
That's kind of why all right. We'll see it all next week, won't we?
I've watched this movie many, many times recently, so.
Recently.
But I'll go in again I'll go in with a real critical lens this time. We'll see what happens. So.
All right. Well, if you've watched it many, many times recently, then I suspect that you'll feel like I feel. 'Cause to me, this movie is a classic, but we'll see if it actually holds up.
Yeah.
All right, that's a big heavy sigh from me. I watch it all the time, but it's not classic.
I know. Well, I might watch movies that aren't classic that I watch all the time. What's the one with that fucking dumb fucking movie I told you about that I watch all the time on repeat? The Happy Madison production. God, that thing was a piece of shit, but I watched it every night.
The one with Steve Zahn?
Yeah.
Not Nature Calls, the other one.
Strange Wilderness.
Strange Wilderness. God, it's a fucking disaster of a film. Okay, so you never know what's going to happen. I will say something did occur to me the last time I watched Sneakers, and I'm not going to say what it was. So there's a little teaser.
Save it for the cast.
Of course, I will. I'm a professional here. We're not professionals. We're amateurs.
No, we're very.
All right, that's it then. So Sneakers next week. If you like Robert Redford, if you love Ben Kingsley, if you think Sidney Poitier is overrated, then come on and tell us why. We'd love to hear from you.
You won't know who to trust.
That's right. It's going to be a nightmare, man. It's going to be a fucking nightmare.
That score, though.
The score is good. Yeah, this is a fun movie. We'll talk about it next week. Cinema9pod at protonmail.com. No more secrets, Marty at gmail.com. And of course, follow the show everywhere. We appreciate all of your time. Thank you, Derek, for the selection, and we'll see you next week.
Hashtag